Hey, today I wanted to talk to you about whether or not you can run 38 Special in a 357 Magnum Winchester 1873 lever action rifle. So I've talked to a few people and I've looked at some of the forums, and there seems to be this notion that you cannot run 38 Special in a Winchester 1873. And I'm not sure exactly where that is coming from. But to give you a little bit of information for those of you that don't know, 357 Magnum shoots the exact same bullet as a 38 Special. The only difference is a 357 Magnum has a slightly longer case and a little bit more power to it, or quite a bit more power to it than 38 Special. So with that being said, if you have a firearm chambered in 357 Magnum, you can shoot 38 Special and 38 Special plus P, which is a slightly more powerful 38 Special. But again, unless your manual says otherwise, you can shoot 38 Special out of 357 Magnum. Now, you can't do it the other way around. You cannot shoot 357 Magnum in a gun designed for 38 Special. The dimensions won't fit, and it isn't built to handle the power loads. So getting back to it, can you shoot 38 Special out of the 357 Magnum Winchester 1873? So this right here is my Winchester 1873. This is a lever action rifle made by Miroku out of Japan. This was made in 2021, so I've had this rifle for a couple of years, and I can say without a doubt that it can shoot 38 Special. So anybody that tells you you can't shoot 38 Special out of a rifle is misinformed. Now, technically speaking, there are some cartridges that don't function correctly in this rifle. But that isn't to say that you cannot shoot 38 Special out of this rifle. You can shoot most 38 Special, there's just some cartridges you can't. So if somebody tells you you can't do it, they're either misinformed or they're not giving you the whole truth. So to understand what the issue is when shooting 38 Special, you kind of have to understand how exactly this gun functions. So if you look here, as you run the lever, it opens up the dust cover, and the lifter is lifted up, bolt pulls back, this little brass lifter lifts up. When I close the lever, the bolt pushes the next round into the chamber, and the lifter drops, picking up the next round, so on and so forth. If you look at the lifter, you will see that there's a tiny little track in there. That track, although it's probably hard to see and I will try to light it up, leads to a ramp carved into the lifter. And so the way that works, to get a better understanding, you've got the lifter and a little ramp at the end. So it kind of looks, if my arm is that lifter, it kind of looks like my arm. And so what happens is you've got a round sitting on the lifter, and you've got the next round here, butt up right up against the head of the first round on the lifter. And so what happens is, if you've got a cartridge that is long enough, what it does is as that lifter lifts up, the ramp forces that second cartridge back into the magazine tube so that it's out of the way to lift that round up into position. And then when your lifter drops back down, that next round comes out of the magazine tube and sits on the lifter. And the process continues. The problem becomes when you've got a 38 Special cartridge that has too short of an overall cartridge length. That will cause your lifter to bind up. And so what happens is as you've got that lifter, you don't have a long enough round. So here is the second round. Now instead of it hitting on the ramp, it's hitting on a flatter part of the lifter. And so as you try to lift it up, it jams up the gun. The only ammunition that I have found that does that consistently is CCI 38 special ammunition. I don't know why it's like that. It just is. That's just by design. CCI seems to make the shortest 38 special ammunition on the market. The one that I have occasional jams with is Winchester 38 special. And again, that is the shortest running 38 special cartridge that I'm aware of. I don't know, and it must just be as they're loading it, some get loaded a little deeper than others. Every now and then I'll get an occasional jam. And to show you the difference, so here is one of the longest 357 Magnum cartridges that I have right here. And I'm going to take a measurement here. So I've got a measurement of 1.57. That's the overall length on that. So a decent amount. If I measure a Winchester 38 special, I get an overall case length of 1.43. So that's a wide range of case lengths that still run correctly in an 1873. Now let me take a measurement of a 38 special from CCI. So I have got an overall case length of 1.41. So that is not a big difference. We're talking 200ths of an inch difference is all it takes between the gun jamming and the gun cycling correctly. Like, that is right at the precipice of what it can do. And just to show you, so here's 357 Magnum. I'll try to line these up as best I can. Here is 357 Magnum. Here is 38 Special. I don't know if you can see that. There is the difference in the overall cartridge lengths. And here is the difference between a Winchester and a CCI. And again, I know I'm holding this by hand. I'm trying to hold it as level from the base as I can. There is not much of a difference. I don't think that's something you would eyeball. I think you'd have to get out and measure it. But let's say you find yourself in a situation where you happen to load 38 special ammunition that will not cycle in your 1873. So what would that look like? So I'm going to take this rifle here, and I'm going to take two Blazer 38 Specials. I'm going to load that in there. There's one. And here is a second one. I'm going to load it in there. There's two. Now I'm going to try to cycle it. Now that cycled. Why did that cycle? Because one of them is actually slightly longer than the other. So let me grab another one here. Let me try that again and show you. Because as I look at them now, did not realize that those two were, one of those was actually loaded slightly longer than the other. Okay. So I've got a couple of shorter. I've got a couple of the other CCIs here. So let me load that in. Okay. So I've got that in there. So I got to lift up. And that's jammed. That's definitely jammed. And I don't know if I can show that to you, but that cartridge isn't long enough. And as I try to cycle that, that's jammed. It's not going to unjam itself. So then you ask, okay, well, how do I unjam it? This is how you unjam it. What you're going to do is close this back up if you want. It really doesn't actually matter. What you're going to do is you're going to reach in to the loading port. You're going to push that loading port open. And that round is going to pop out. Just like that. There's that round. Now, just for the heck of it, I'll pop the other one too, just to show you again. Just like that. Push the loading port in, you let it come out, you hook the rim with your fingernail, and pull it out. And it's really just that simple. But let's say for some odd reason that isn't working. Let's say for some unknown reason that's just not working for you. So what can you do then? So to get my gun jammed again, I'm going to pop these in. What you can do is you can open up the lever just enough to get that bolt out of the way. And what you're going to do is, and this is kind of a pain, but you reach in and you're going to take a screwdriver, a little flathead, and you're going to push that round back into the magazine tube with the screwdriver, and you're going to operate the lever. And that is how you're going to unjam that. Now, I'm going to give a demonstration. So let me grab my screwdriver to show you what that might look like. So I am going to get a thin flathead here. There we go. And now what I'm going to do, and let me adjust it because I'm going to do this while sitting down on my lap. Okay, there we go. So I've got it jammed, and for some odd reason, me pushing the loading gate open just isn't working. I'm pushing it all the way, but it won't come out. But it is jammed. So what do I do? So what I'm going to do is carefully, not to damage things, I'm going to reach in and I'm going to push that round a little bit further in the magazine tube, and then, I know it's kind of awkward, I'm going to use my leg and I am going to push that lever up, just like that. Then I'm going to cycle it out, and obviously if I needed to, if there was another one jammed in there, then I would go and do the same thing. And it's really just that simple. That's all you have to do. You just have to you just have to push that round deep enough in there to hit the ramp. So if you ever find yourself running 38 Special in your Winchester 1873, you're really not in that bad of shape. Now, with that being said, I can understand where some of the confusion has come from, because I had called Winchester and I had asked them that, and they themselves had said that, yeah, we don't recommend you run 38 Special. It can jam up the gun, and it can jam up the gun to the point where you need to send it into us, to our repair center, and we'll unjam it. And I don't know how you would remotely jam the gun so badly that you would need to send it off. And for that matter, I don't know how you would remotely jam the gun badly enough that you would even need to take any parts out. Just as I've shown here in this video, it's really that simple to fix any issues you may run into. So, to answer the question of whether you can run 38 Special in a 357 Magnum Winchester 1873, the answer is yes. Yes, you can. You need to be mindful that you get 38 Special ammunition with an overall length long enough to run correctly in your gun, but there is no reason why you cannot run 38 Special ammunition in your lever action. So, having given you all this information, I hope you're able to decide whether you want to buy one of these beautiful rifles for the purpose of being able to run 357 and 38 Special. And hopefully inform any of your friends that tell you that it's not possible and that it's just not built to run it. That is not remotely the case. So with all of that being said, I hope this helps you out.